I love it. I love it too because it's a really nice way to connect to your audience and that same, like, if you're building a personal brand, I think like letting your audience feel like they kind of know you, especially like in the health space. People want to feel safe, so they're going to want to feel like they can trust you, that you know that you are a carer for them. They're going to want to feel that.
Welcome to the Marketing Your Practice podcast, and this episode we sat down with the wonderful Lola Berry.
Clearly one of your favourites.
Clearly one of my favourites, absolutely, but also one of my favourite interviews. And I think one thing is that she's so giving, and you'll see that through the interview. You know, the practice of the future we see is one built on branding. At the moment, social media is huge, and we need to be embracing it. So that's why we sat down with Lola and really picked her brains as to how she's gone from, you know, being an unhealthy DJ to now a health advocate, social media expert, using these platforms to really build a business and a brand for herself. It was really fascinating.
In essence, what used to work for us to build our practice, whether it be just word of mouth, you know, yellow pages advertising, just putting up a website, just doesn't work anymore. And that's why this episode is important to you, because it teaches you the basics of personal branding. Now, whilst we might not all want to get to the level that you know, Lola is at, 10 books, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers from there too, we can borrow upon her expertise to show you exactly how to build yourself up as an authority, as an expert, as an important person in your community as well. So, which if you think, you know, how would things be different is if you were walking down your street and everyone looked upon you as the expert, as the go-to person as well. So we chatted at length after this, and I've put together some summary notes for you guys as well. So after you listen to this, if you want to kind of hit the high points, where can they go for the summary notes?
Yeah, jump over to adiomedia.com/27 and you'll be able to get the summary of this episode.
Yeah, some great points. We think that when it comes to things like certain levels of a growth mindset, that she knocks it out of the park there. So some great points inside of that. So jump on over to adiomedia.com/27. But let's go and have a listen to our interview with Lola now. See you on the inside.
Enjoy.
Lola Berry, welcome to the Marketing Your Practice podcast.
Thanks for having me. Love it.
So good to have you here. Purple hair and all, we love it.
I feel a bit unicorny today.
That's okay. We'll take unicorns any way we can get them.
That's good. So this is round 2.
Yeah.
You were part of, we had a social media summit early on in the year, and I got so much great feedback that people loved listening to you. So we went, you know what, let's come back in. So we want to have a chat with you all about branding today. We're chatting a little bit before the show. We think that the health practice of the future is going to need to have a level of personal branding though. So we're not saying that they need to be social media rock stars like yourself there too, but there's a lot that we can kind of learn of, you know, letting our community know through social media, whether it be Insta or whether it be through Facebook, those kind of things like that as well. So we're going to talk about all of that. But before we jump in that, some of our audience, and Tony and I in particular here, we want to know a bit more of your backstory. So we see now, what's been your journey right the way to get to now? So
Oh wow, you want the LB story?
Let's go for it. All right.
Well, I used to be totally not healthy at all. So I was a DJ and makeup artist, and my favourite food was giant caramello koalas and lamingtons with the jam in the middle. And I was not healthy at all, partying, DJing, just like living that lifestyle. And it was fun, don't get me wrong, but it was also, I would wake up and not feel like I had purpose. I'd be like, oh, this isn't my calling. I'm having a truckload of fun, but I knew it wasn't in yoga we have this word called dharma, to kind of like find your purpose.
Yes.
So I knew it wasn't that. So, and I was surprise dating a DJ at the time. Yeah. And I remember seeing his passion for his music, and I was like, I want that. I want that passion for something. And I went on this summertime detox and I started eating really good food and looking after myself. And I was like, whoa, like I sleep better, my eyes are clearer, my skin's better, I'm a nicer version of myself. And I started to get quite obsessed with the power of food on our body. And so in any spare moment, I'd be like reading about superfoods and blueberries and if they could cross the blood-brain barrier or how broccoli can work on phase 2 liver detoxification, just like weird stuff. And then I thought I'd better study this. I never thought I was smart enough, like, because I'm not a science-based kid. I was a dropout uni drama student at that stage of the game. So uber creative and not so sciencey. And I thought, well, let's just dive into the deep end. And so then I started studying nutritional medicine. I got 31% on my first exam. So my foundations of chem. So like I definitely had to figure out the best way that my brain retained information and learned. And so that meant tutors and whatnot. And then I remember about halfway through my degree, I was like, jeepers, like the thought of working one-on-one in clinic didn't really light me up. And I thought, shivers, what am I going to do, you know? And I knew I wasn't academically smart enough to be really good at clinic either, because like you show me blood, stuff like that, I'm like, I don't know how to read this. And so I remember I was watching Steve Irwin and I was like, oh, Steve Irwin and fruits and veggies. And I thought, and everyone's like, what are you going to do, Lola, wrestle broccoli? I'm like, no, I want to use...
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, they're like, I said, I want to use the medium of media to spread a cool message. And the thing that I love most about him was that he was unapologetically his authentic, passionate self.
Yeah.
And so that's like, if I ever have a crappy day at work, and there are plenty of them, I'll go home and I'll like watch Steve Irwin on YouTube. So that's kind of like, I just saved up, got 3 jobs, bought a video camera and started filming, and started with YouTube and then started cold call on morning TV. So that's kind of how it started, yeah.
What gave you the confidence to do that? Like, you know, one thing to start shooting some videos, but then to cold call, like where did that come from?
I don't know, like my mate that I was shooting them with, we owned the business together, because I remember I was living on the Goldie and I was like, I knew he was a producer, like, and an editor, and I was like, I'll fly you up for a weekend in the sun. Can you edit this footage for me? I'm going to send it to Oprah. That's what I thought. And so we made
start small.
We made this like one little video. I called it a brockumentary, because I thought like, oh, such a goober. Anyway, we put it online. He goes, let's do webisodes. And I said, what? And he goes, let's do webisodes, like short little episodes that are free to view on YouTube. And I was like, okay. We called it Fruits and Roots. It became like I'd pick an ingredient, film about it. Anyway, I don't know if I've ever shared this with you before, but we were filming our second series in Mount Warning, and we got to the location, and we were filming this beautiful water company called Mount Warning Water, and the bottle's a beautiful teardrop, like a water drop. And we get there, and she's like, the owner's like, obviously they're loaded. They're like, do you want to film from a helicopter? And we're like, yeah, sure. This is before the drone days.
Right.
And she's like, so what are you filming? I'm like, oh, Fruits and Roots, like health documentary. And she's like, I thought it was a porno. And I was like, what? And she's like, Lola Berry, Fruits and Roots. And I was like, oh my God. So like, it's had very humble beginnings. And then, yeah, I guess like from there, like my business partner was like, let's just cold call TV. And so I got a one-off story just about a young girl using the internet to spread a message, like positive message. Yes. And then as soon as they called cut, they were like, can we sign you? And I moved back to Melbourne and signed to Channel 10.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this was kind of pre-Instagram.
Totally pre-Instagram. Yeah. This was MySpace days, my friend.
Oh,
got it.
So it is. I'm 33. I would have been. My first book came out when I was 22. So it would have been TV started before that. So it would have been like 21.
Got it. So just sorry, so you didn't finish your nutritional medicine degree.
Yes, I did.
You did finish it?
Yes, I did.
Got it. So
I made up those fails. Like I made the marks up to get through. Just
legend. Well done there too. And then the book, how did that come about?
That actually came about by accident. I'm not a natural writer at all. Yes. So that first episode I did on TV, our website broke because people were trying to buy a book that never existed. And like people were like, where's a book? And I was like, I don't know how to write a book. And then because I was getting quite a lot of TV segments, I was doing weekly segments, I wrote my first book and self-published it with each chapter was a theme of what I spoke about on TV, like mood food or skin food or, detoxing food. And so every segment on TV just became another chapter in the book, and that's how I wrote my first book.
And is that a good example of how things have just flown over the last 10, 12 years? Like one opportunity then creates another opportunity, or has there been an overarching plan to it?
Nah, it's like a lot more fails than successes, and not like, sure, being in the right place at the right time. It comes down to hard work and being resilient.
Yeah,
I think.
But I guess my point there is, did you ever see yourself as you've written 12 books, or was it just, I do one book and then make some fails, do some things, then another one comes? Was it
I think
organically
the organic
coming?
stuff with the books happened when I signed to a publisher, because you sign like 2 book deals, or you're under contracts. I'm currently under contract now, so for 5 years I'm with those. You're kind of in that. So with books it's different. So because I self-published that first one, it was a different ballgame. It's like its own little baby. But then when you kind of like are working with a big publishing house, you can see the trajectory, and that's what it is, probably a little bit more kind of like what you're alluding to, where it just kind of rolls a bit. Like I always know I bring a book out this time of the year and this time of the year.
So how many books is it for you now?
10.
10.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, from kind of partying DJ to 10 books, if you go back right into as a child and teenager and stuff like that, did you always have ability to kind of move through failure and just kind of take it as a learning experience and then get into something new? Or is that something that you learned? Like, how did that skill set come about?
I know when I was younger, like at high school and whatnot, I always wanted to be an actress. So I'd always been like really comfortable talking underwater. Like I could do it very easily. So I knew that I was I knew that I loved like the drama and the filming, all that. Like I knew that was something I loved. As far as being okay with failure and kind of like picking yourself up and being resilient, like my dad built his vet clinic from the ground up, so I've probably grown up watching someone have a dream and continually work towards it. I think also like when you're younger, when you go through like more adverse things, that probably makes you more resilient as an adult as well. So someone said to me recently, like, what did you go through when you were younger? You had to have gone through something really crappy to have this resilience. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they were like, no, something's happened to you. And I guess like maybe like a few things in your childhood that kind of like make you really strong, kind of like give you that strength maybe. But I think for me, like, I've always kind of resonated with being real. And I think that's kind of if you said, what's your superpower? I'd be like, I'm no bullshit. I'm very real. What you see is what you get. I'm very comfortable to walk away from a scenario. I'm very comfortable to share my failures as well. And I'm very comfortable with failing. And so for me, my whole thing is just be real. Like I can't really do fake. And I know that sounds like weird with when I've got an Instagram following and things like that, and you're putting up like your purple hair photos and all that, but like I'm actually still sharing something I'm really passionate about, because I used to be a makeup artist. Like I used to work in fashion styling. Like, so as long as I'm sharing what's real for me at any one time, I think that gives you the ability to be okay with the kind of bumps in the road. But there's so many more bumps in the road than people think there are. Yeah.
And so where's that balance, or that line, or is there a line? Because sometimes I look at your work and go, what's the line between personal life, professional life? And sometimes I think for you, there isn't a line.
Yeah.
Is that like, what's your take on that?
I was having a conversation with someone the other night, and they said, there's no line for you, Lola. Like, they were like, this is, you share everything. I share most things, apart from like if I'm dating someone, generally I keep that quiet for as long as I can, but most things I'll share. Like, I don't know, I just think like, and this is what we're kind of like coming to about the personal brand stuff. I believe that there's a few things humans want, but one of them is to feel a connection. And so if I can be like, yo guys, this is what I'm doing today, it's fun or it's really shit or whatever it is, generally people respond to positivity, obviously. But yeah, I just see it as a form of connection, and like I write back to every DM and even the...
Well, careful with that. Now that's on camera.
I was going to say even like the annoyingly, not annoying, but like you do, as a girl, you do get a fair few...
I'm sure you do.
Sexual ones, and I'm like, fuck. But anyway, like I still be like, no, bye, delete, block, all that stuff. Like you have to do that. But like I've done recently a panel with like influencers, younger girls with like millions of followers, and they don't believe in opening it because they don't want to feed it, because you get people, especially in the health world and females, where you get people that are like, oh my god, I've had the worst day, or I've got depression and you're going to help me, and then you've got to be quite careful. There's that balancing act too, and I'll always say like I'm actually not qualified to help you through this.
Yeah, that's tricky, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know that with so many kind of health practitioners, like so many of us have a message that we're passionate about. Like we see a place for traditional healthcare, great for emergency care, but it's like, I've got a message, I want to get it out to the world, and I shoot a video and then I go to put it out there, and then there's this, oh, my hair's not great, this is not great. So if somebody's in that kind of teeter-totter spot at the moment of wanting to put themselves out there but not able to quite make that step, what would your words of wisdom and encouragement be?
Oh, just drop the self-doubt. Who cares? People are more worried about their own hair than your hair. So, like, if you've got a cool message and it's real, just share it, you know?
Yeah.
The amount of times I haven't wanted to film because I've had a fat day or felt crap, I'm like, oh, I don't want to. But then I'm like, what I'm filming isn't actually about me. I'm sharing a journey, or I'm sharing an adventure, or I'm showcasing somebody else that's helping. Like, I get myself out of the way pretty fast. So I think get your ego out of the way and stick to what your actual like purpose is behind what you're creating. And if that comes from a clear, authentic place, then boom, you know.
You talked about this concept, and it would seem that you've found your Dharma now. I would imagine if this is not your Dharma, then heck, we're going to be crazy.
Look out.
So that sense of purpose with it as well. How do I, you know, if I'm like, is this my sense of Dharma? Do you have advice for people on how they find theirs, how they connect with it?
Yeah, so you find flow. So you figure out when time stops for you.
Yeah.
You know, like even for me, so I'm going through a few career changes at the moment, and it's because I felt too safe.
Yes.
Like I was like, I've got a smoothie bar out, I've got all these books, and I'm like, I can see the trajectory of my career if I keep going down the same path. And I got this feeling of going, I don't feel free right now. And I was like, okay, you have to break that mold, Lola. And I had a new career idea, and I sat down in a meeting, and they're like, you will fail. 3 or 4 people like, you're going to fail, you're going to fail, you're going to fail. And I was like, don't care. You know, so like I think constantly like challenging yourself. And I was even hanging with my mum on the weekend, and I was like to my mum, am I going to be single forever? And she's like, I was like having a teary, and she's like, Lola, you've picked career every time and it hasn't let you down. Like, let's just, and it was just because I was waiting on a career thing to kind of lock in. So I like quickly was like worried about all these other parts of my life when I was just waiting for kind of like a contract to get greenlit basically, and I was getting a bit anxious around it. And she was like, Lola, stop this. Like, this has been your passion. This is your Dharma. Trust in it. This is a blip. This is fine. And so I think being okay with that uncertainty, and this sounds like a really weird life hack to share, but if you are fearful of something like career, or you've got this idea and you don't know exactly how to like jump, or you don't know like what it like, go skydiving.
Yeah.
Do it.
I did that with our good friend Warren. And,
did you do it with Warren?
Yeah, he did that for my 40th birthday.
What a champ.
Yes, did that. Don't need to do it again.
See, I can't wait to do it again.
Right.
I would do it again I want to do it in Hawaii, Nepal. I wanted to go up where you have to do the oxygen mask.
Right.
I effing loved it. But a good way to describe it is, and I would describe it like you can look at fear in this kind of way. So I got this car deal, and they're like, okay, as part of the car deal, we want you to go on an adventure. We're going to take you skydiving. And I was like, okay. I was like, oh, fuck, as if they're going to let me bring a friend. I was like, only if I can bring a friend. They're like, yep, we'll do it for your friend as well. I was like, shit, okay. So I knew for 2 weeks I was skydiving.
Yes.
And if you were like, hey, you excited to go skydiving? My hands would start sweating. Like, I was so petrified. And driving, like, it was a 2-hour drive. I was living in Sydney. It was a 2-hour drive to where we were jumping from. And I could feel like I had dry mouth on the way. Like, I was like freaking out. Wouldn't have coffee that morning. I was like, I'll throw up everywhere. Like, I was so scared. The moment I sat in that rickety plane, the fear went. Because I gave away control. And I was like, you know what? And I was like, it's like what will be will be. And the second that I gave up that control and kind of just went with it, it was the coolest experience for me. And obviously you're on a high for like 2 weeks. But another cool thing that I'm obsessed with at the moment is this Indigenous Australian word called Numberlayla, and it means to live free of fear.
Right.
And I think fear is important, like far out. Like back in the day, if a saber-toothed tiger was chasing us down the street, sure, you need fear, you need adrenaline to kick in and fight or flight, right? But I think this like fear of like, is my hair okay? Or I don't think I'm good enough to release this, or I don't want to look like a wanker and release a personal brand, and I don't want to talk, like there are a lot of wankers on social media like, hi guys, happy Tuesday. I mean, I say happy Tuesday, but there's a lot of that, like, where you're worried about what people think. And I think that's that kind of fear is a constraint of the mind. Like, I think drop that. I don't think it actually serves you. I think fucking just be you, like share what's real for you, be honest. It's not going to let you down. That would be my biggest takeaway. Numberlayla, I love that word.
Numberlayla, I like it.
When you talk about that concept of letting go of control, I was like, that was visceral for me. It's like, and I wouldn't put myself in as a control freak, perhaps I should ask Tony, but
I probably would. Like, a friend of mine called me a control freak the other day, and I was like, excuse me, and then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a control freak unless it's not going my way.
What are your star signs though?
Well, we're both Capricorns.
Are you both Capricorns?
Yeah, we're born. It's obviously I'm a little bit more older and mature than Tony. But
three days worth.
So,
I like Capricorns a lot. So you're an Earth sign as well. I'm an Earth sign. I'm a Virgo, so we get on quite well. But so I read an article about the hardest working star signs. Number 1 is Virgo. Number 2 is Capricorn.
There you go.
We're chasing you down.
Yeah.
There you go. Look out. Yeah. Keep looking behind. That's all I'm saying.
There's 2 of us.
I want to ask you a little bit about that, if I may.
Yeah.
Because there's some people out there who go, I've got my, seemingly from the outside, you've got this successful career.
Yeah.
You're going leaps and bounds in a lot of ways, but you then say, well, teary to your mum, am I going to be single? Where's that balance? Does that stress you? Has that been a challenge for you? Looking at the different aspects of life going, I'm lopsided or...
Yeah, I mean, more so for me, usually what happens is one thing will be great and then another thing might not be. And like, it's in life, like it's... like, what's the word we use in yoga? Equanimity, like being okay with the highs and the lows of life. So normally, like, you'll be killing it at your career and you'll be touring around, you'll be selling best-selling books, but you'll just be going through a breakup. Or you will have met this really great person, it'll be awesome, and you'll be like, but like, where's the work at the moment? And so, like, it is like a juggling act. I don't regret any decision that I've made, though, because I know, like, my love for my work is, like, really important for me. But I would rather be honest and go, I have shitty days where absolutely I'm like, I'm 33 now, like, what happens next? And I also have really extreme career goals. Like, you think I'm successful, right? But I'm not a tenth of where I want to be in my career, in all honesty.
Yeah, great.
So, and it's nice to hear you say great, because I remember I shared that with someone once and they said, that's so sad. And I thought, shit, you don't have good goals if you think, whereas I remember then sharing it with someone else and they said, that's amazing. That you're still like on to the next thing. And I don't kind of bask, that's probably my biggest downfall. I don't bask in anything, and I'm very Someone said I'm almost self-deprecating humble. Like, I met someone the other day and they were like, oh, let me look you up on Insta. And they're like, what do you do? I was like, I just teach yoga and I'm a nutritionist. And then they looked me up on Insta and they're like, fuck. Like, and I was like, oh, nah. And I heard myself. I was like, I'm nobody was my response.
Yeah.
And I thought, shit, like I didn't even think, it was totally subconscious. And I thought, I should probably take a little bit more like, oh, okay, I've done a little bit of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm almost the opposite end of like ego versus a reasonably low self-worth. But I'm pretty also open about that on everything, with everything that I share. But yeah.
We often talk about that. Tony and I've had many discussions around that life purpose, or dharma as we've been used, just being expansion, which means you never get there. So, I'm going to expand into this book, this television deal. And if you stopped there, then it's no longer your dharma anymore because it's expansion. So I would be worried, like, if this was it for you at 33, like really?
Yeah.
So it's tricky, and there has to, all of that kind of sitting back and going. And I know, for me, I once heard somebody talk about that metaphor. Our goals are always out in front of us, and when we take a step forwards, our goals grow bigger as well, so they move forward. So sometimes it's nice to kind of look in the rear vision mirror, go, fuck, look how far I've come.
Yeah,
Look
I forget that.
That girl who was DJing and eating lamingtons, who's now here, because then you can go, oh, nice job.
Yeah, I never do that.
But that rear vision mirror, because rear vision mirror in that situation, I think can be really powerful.
Yeah.
But when we use that, and then at the same time, when we use that rear vision mirror in terms of, here's what I've achieved in the past, so therefore that'll tell me what I can achieve in the future, that's where it can be tricky. Because fuck, I've never been able to do this in the past, well, in the future. No. We don't.
Yeah.
But it's nice to, kind of, be a part of all that as well. So,
I like
Brandon,
that. Yeah.
let's get into this. So, because one of the things that really struck me when we had our last interview is that, and I don't know whether this was you just being humble, your answer to like, how do you go about this branding? What do you do this too? There was very little strategy other than, I just be me. Like, just be me. And I just, and we're like, do you have a plan about posting here, now, there, and doing this, and this, go to this stuff? I said, no. Just kind of, is that, like, if you were to look over it and you were to give Lola's Branding 101, like, where does it come from?
I like it. You're calling me out on my bullshit a little bit there.
Yeah.
First of all, that is my rule. Just be real, like 100%. But I'm obviously aware of algorithms. I try not to look at them too much unless, I'll be honest, they're written into my contract. So, for example, I got an email from my agent last night. She's like, I did a deal with a day spa recently. And she's like, we need all the stats for that. And I had to go in, find the photo, get all the stats, see what the reach was, see how many people clicked on it, how many people were engaged and whatnot. And I sent it all off. And I kind of send that. I don't look at it so much because the algorithms do change so effing much. I don't really attach myself to them. That's why you can't really attach yourself to the number of followers, because it literally ups and downs all the time for anybody. I think, but there are things I know that work really well. Like, I know that a female dominant audience, which is what I have, I'm 88% female, I know they're going to resonate with a warm photo as opposed to like a male loves a really bright punchy photo,
So what's a warm photo? What?
When you use a warm filter like Aiden, or you can go into your Instagram settings and you can warm up the tones.
Got it.
So like a warm, so in the wellness space, I imagine female dominant, I would say. So but then when I run Happy Place, not as female dominant. So like I'll always use a really bright filter like Claritin or something that's really punchy and bright, because it's both male and female. And also it's food. It wants to look, you want it, it's like
vibrant.
Yeah, you want it to look vibrant. So
it's so interesting, because if I'm putting a photo up there, I'm like cranking up saturation,
because you're a boy.
Yeah,
It's fascinating. I did a work trip last year, 6 weeks. I travelled around the Maldives, Mauritius, and Reunion Island, teaching the staff how to use Instagram. That was my job.
Yeah, nice.
I know. I swam with whale sharks, everything. But there's the little hacks. Like, obviously people go like, what about hashtags, stuff like that? Like, sometimes, like with my hair, I think I hashtagged unicorn hair, or lavender hair and new moon. Like, I kind of go with the hashtag of like just what feels good. But then I know that like a human brain responds really well to things that are in threes. So I'll either do 1 or 3 hashtags. Just little, like there's little hacks like that, but it's for me, it's not that thought out.
Yep.
I can tell when algorithms are working and when they're not. So often Instagram will go through like glitches where your photo's just not getting into people's feeds, and you'll put a photo up and it'll get like 200 likes, and then you'll be like, shit, the algorithms are effing with me. And then, you know, a day later you'll put a photo up, probably a lesser good photo than the one that you've just put up, and it can get 2,000. So that's an algorithm thing that I have no control over. Instagram does favour video content, so I'll always lean towards at least getting 1 video up a week. And stories are fantastic. I'll do stories every day because it is a great way to share.
You're a storyaholic, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
We love it. We love it.
I love it. I love it too because it's a really nice way to connect to your audience, and that same, like, if you're building a personal brand, I think like letting your audience feel like they kind of know you, especially like in the health space, people want to feel safe. So they're going to want to feel like they can trust you, that, you know, that you are a carer for them. They're going to want to feel that.
And how would I go about conveying that message? You know, I'm like, okay, I want to, you know, what kind of content is more likely to convey trust and build that sense of, you know, expertise in that field? Have you got some thoughts in around that?
Yeah, I mean, talking direct, like barrel of the camera, like is going to be easier to connect to, but fuck, you got to be real to do that.
Yeah.
Like you can see the dingoes that are like, hey babes, so I'm having a green smoothie today. Like, oh, get me a bucket. You know what I mean? Like you got to be very real if you're going to do that. I think, the reason why I think Insta Stories works well for me is because up until Snapchat and Insta Stories came out, anytime I do a speaking gig, I'd get off stage and people would be like, fuck, you sound so different to how you look. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, you sound like a bogan. And we expected you to be like a princess, basically.
Yes.
And like, it's funny, in the last 3 weeks or so, I've had 3 people be like, you're the girl version of the honey badger. And I'm like, say what? And it's because like the accent's so strong. I don't know why.
Yes.
Dad's like, oh, you just put it on. I'm like, Dad, do you know how hard it would be to put this on? This is the way that I talk. And I'm like, and I've learned it off you. You're my dad. So I think that it works for some people that are real. Like, it doesn't work if you don't know who you are yet, or you're doubting yourself, or you're worried about being perfect. It's probably not your jam. Stick to putting hot photos up, or beautiful photos of smoothies or plants. Like, I think figuring out what kind of demo you've got. But I think if you can just be straight down the line, straight shooter, humans want that. You want to feel like heard and connected, so that it works.
And so are you putting, like, you do get up in the morning and you're thinking, oh, that outfit will be great for today because I'm going to the beach and that'll look great with the colours? Or are you just going, I love that dress, I'll put it on?
Good question. Okay, so this is where there is...
I like it. You're asking
Smart wardrobe. Smart wardrobe.
He's asking the feminine question.
I want to know how you go about choosing your
It is fascinating though.
I don't understand why that's funny.
In all honesty, it's fascinating, right? I get sent all my clothes.
That's what I see all the time.
Well, let me know. So last week we were doing a brainstorming live class there too, and I was going to do a little dress up as Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
Pause on this conversation here for a moment or two. So I thought Tony and I were going to have a debate about, no, I'm being Batman, no, you're being Robin, back and forth, but it was like, I'm Batman, he was Batgirl. So that's Catwoman. There's no discussion about it at all. This is perfect. He's the best business partner.
Awesome.
The best friend in the world.
That's awesome.
Yeah, anyway, so how do you choose your bikinis? Let's get on to it.
No. In all honesty, like so part of my job is obviously to be an influencer. Let's call a spade a spade. So you will get sent beautiful clothes, and there will be an expectation in order for you to have or wear those clothes. There's either a contra deal, like perfect example, I'm going to Caulfield races on the weekend.
Yep.
I'll be dressed by a label. I will wear that. I'll go for a fitting. I'll wear that dress. I will put a photo up in the dress. Thank you so much for the dress. Thank you so much to Fo, who's done my hair and makeup. Thank you so much for Organic for colouring hair. Thank you for the whatever jewellery I'm wearing. I will be thanking everybody. Yeah. So yes, that moment, totally thought out. If I'm at a movie premiere or something and someone's dressed me for the media wall, boom, 1,000%. That moment, completely thought out. On the bikini note, I get sponsored with eco-friendly bikinis. So like, absolutely, like I'll make sure, like when I was in Bali, I was doing quite a few shoots. I'd be like, I'm wearing that bikini for that shot. I'm getting that for that shot. Same with yoga wear. Like I get deals where I get sent like contra yoga clothes. So I'll make sure that if I'm going somewhere where I'm taking a yoga snap, that I'm in their clothes. Like that stuff is thought out, and you are expected to tag. You know.
So I'm just thinking now that if you're not doing yoga and you're not in a bikini and you're just sleeping, so you're not really Insta storing that, are you? So there's not much of your life. So there is a fair bit of thought out.
With that kind of stuff, when you've got to thank and work with companies, and like even if I'm working with a company and expected to post, you've got to often get the type approved. You've got to make sure the hashtags are approved. You've got to get the image approved, right. And that's a bit of a bigger process. But you're also getting, to be completely transparent, you're getting paid for that. So you just look at it like there was one day where I had to share my entire day from beginning till end, and they had to sign off on everything that I was going to do that day.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
We're talking 20 stories plus. And I was like, and it was a cool thing, but you're like, your day isn't your day. Your day is that working gig. And I just looked at it like a work gig. I was like, great, I've got to be at yoga at this time. I've got to be at Happy Place at that time. Because each of those stories had to get signed off. So there is that side of it as well, absolutely. And I'm sure other influencers, like I've got a really good mate in Sydney that's a massive YouTuber, and she'll have to do, big campaigns where it's sponsored by and there's a lot of money in it too. It's fascinating.
Absolutely. I guess that does give delineation of work and play.
Yeah.
Because it makes it pretty obvious.
So let's come back to that content creation and even that idea of barrel down, the camera, and I'm wanting to be real and I'm wanting to build relationships. What am I saying? Like, is there what sort of things? So maybe we could do this. So let's say that we had a naturopath that was watching us now, who, and she wanted to get on there and saying, I want to start to expand outside the four walls of my practice here and really make a difference to this sad, happy, unhealthy community of mine as well. What kind of videos might she shoot? A
naturopath could be like, hey, I want to share with you the clinic space, number one. So you're automatically making your audience comfortable in the space if they haven't been there before. It's almost like an ad.
Yes.
So you'd be like, I'm going to give you a tour. You could do an Insta Live. This is a tour of the space. The amount of times I do tours of Happy Place and everyone's like, I feel like I know it because I've seen you put it up so much. So also, I don't mean to sound mean when I say this, but presume that your audience is dumb.
Yes.
You may have to do it more than once. So the amount of times I'm like, I've owned Happy Place 3 years. Hey guys, I know you don't know that I own a smoothie bar, but this is it. I'd probably do it once every 2 weeks. I'll be like, this is my smoothie bar.
Got it.
Come and visit me. Or, it says Lola Berry on the fucking sign, but people still don't know, right?
Yeah.
So and I'm like, I'm here hanging out, come hang. And as soon as you do that, people come. Like it's fascinating. So I'd be showing the space. I'd be sharing the space. You're taking away the element of fear as well. If you've got new time clients, then I'd be sharing whatever she's passionate about, whether it be like, she might be like, mate, I can't stop using Withania, this herb at the moment. It's great for adrenals, blah, blah, blah. Talk about the liquid herbs. That, again, you're showing to the dispensary, or it could be like, hey, I've just got these great flower essences in, or I've seen that you've got those amazing paleo bars out the front. It could be like, oh, check out the snacks we just got in. I'm obsessed with the passion fruit one. I eat them all. We had this discussion, didn't we? Or just like little hacks, but that are relatable. Like, for example, when I was at Happy Place today, I was like, Black Detox is my favourite. You share what's passionate for you whilst also educating your audience.
Yep.
I think that's pretty powerful. But I think showing the space takes the element of fear away.
And how long are those videos? And are they?
I just do Insta story, so they're 15 seconds.
Got it.
And you can always do another one. Like you can do like multiples.
Back to back.
Yeah. But just share what you love. Like this morning, I shared my sparkly shoes that we were talking about. You know, like
So
there's
is
no
there
rules.
room for that stuff to, hey, just checking into work today, where are my new connies?
Absolutely. Do you want to know why?
All right. Yes, please.
Because it's weird.
Right.
And humans like quirk.
Right.
So you wear your connies, you know the first thing I thought when I looked at your connies? He ties them different to me.
Yeah, got it.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I didn't say it, but I was like, that's a different way of tying my, like, I'll hide.
Because you don't tie yours.
I don't, or I'll hide them under the tongue.
Yes.
Right? Like, or I'll tie them at least, I won't go the top, like the top lace, you know?
Got it.
Like, it's like sharing your idiosyncrasies. It's like, you know, like I know today I'll sit in the car and everyone will write to me and go, what are the jewelries? What jewelry are you wearing? And I'll go through all my necklaces and the designers.
Yep.
It's got nothing to do with health, but it does to fashion and other stuff, other elements of what I do.
It has big time to do with your personal brand.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I love, you know. I just think be real, share the stuff that you love, and think outside the box as far as like if you're a naturopath, sure, show the space, show the herbs, show the dispensary, show the flower, like whatever the, you know, kind of like is exciting for you. Like my naturopath has this machine where he can read heavy metals off the palm of your hand. Like show all that stuff and be smart about it, but also like share yourself.
Yep.
If you're comfortable. I mean, a lot of people like would hate my life, and like my brother's like, get me off your Insta story now, and I'm like, you're so funny though, please. He's like, no. He's like, you're making me look like I don't respect girls. Come on, Bumble. And we were like, because I put him on talking about dating tips, and he was so angry at me.
I thought it would have been good advertising. He's got a good rig. He had his shirt off. He looked good.
And everybody writes to me, girls write to me going, your brother hasn't been writing back to me. And I'm like, oh my God, he's getting into more. My brother, okay, he's going to kill me for saying this. He used to, when he was a cheeky bugger, like so in his 20s, he'd have a pile of my books beside his bed. And whenever a girl would come to stay, he'd be like, there you go. And every 2 weeks he'd come over and he'd be like, can you sign these books? He's like, Megan, Ashley, Dom, like all these girls' names. And I'm like, what? And he's like, I'm supporting you. And I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
So, but I guess, I don't know where I came from that. But I mean, yeah, sharing what's real. Like, I think it's powerful.
Is there some thought too? Because my experience is this, even with being real for me even takes some practice. So first time, okay, I'm going to share everything with the camera there too. Getting comfortable on camera is not natural for everybody from first time.
Yeah.
So would it be reasonable, you know, I mean, obviously you've got this background as DJ, drama student, all that kind of stuff there too. So, you know, for some of our audience that are listening would say, it's, you know, we're not going to be Lola Berry Pro from, you know, step number one. You'll get better and more comfortable at these things as you move forwards. Is that reasonable too to think about? Or
well, I've had no media training ever, and the first time I was on camera, I was horrible.
Yes.
Like horrible. I was so nervous. I put so much pressure on myself. I kept fucking up lines. I was horrible.
Yes.
Rubbish. And I just get the camera. I practice every day to camera. Every day. I was like, if this is my passion, I've got to get better at it. And so I'd literally set my camera up and I'd just be like, talk. I'd just talk. I wouldn't even, the footage would never be used. I just talk about what I'm passionate about, what I'm doing that day, why I loved what I was making that day, food-wise. You know, I just talk, barrel the camera, and I pretend it was a friend. But yeah, like, I think the less you think about it, the better you're going to be.
Yeah.
Like for us as well, it's probably got more flow than even last time because we've got, now we're mates. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think if you start thinking like you're chatting to a mate, it takes the fear of it away.
Yeah. I want to know about some of your fuck-ups. I want to know, because, you know, like that example, you go, people aren't going to be great. You might put something out that, you know, a month later, a year later, you go, oh my God, that was the worst or whatever. Like, what should people not do because you've done it and learnt the hard way?
Don't bring out a diet plan called Stop Being a Fat Bitch.
We got into that last time, but that was
be
pretty full on for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that was the diet plan where it had a really controversial name. I was just sharing that name because it's something that I'd call myself, and it literally said, stop being a fat bitch, change your mental dialogue, change your body, and it was about shining a light on the way women speak to ourselves. From a body image perspective. It blew up in my face. There was a hashtag bin the berry, all of that. We touched on it last time. But I think I fuck up all the time. Like all the time. Like I'm going through some big legal things that are all fine, but like I'm like, fuck, I feel so dumb. Like I'm like, how did I not know that, or how did I like not? And yeah, I as far as like career fuck ups though, own it, apologize when you have to. There's this really cheesy, amazing though movie called Country Strong. It's a Gwyneth Paltrow movie, and it's about a singer that's an alcoholic. Probably a little bit like the new Bradley Cooper one that's coming out. Cannot wait. Going tomorrow night.
Bradley's good.
Isn't he just? But in this movie, this Country Strong one, she said always share. She always said like be honest to your audience. Don't hide it, because then they want to back you. Like they want to support you. And just as many people that did the hashtag like Bin the Berry, there was also an I Stand With Lola hashtag. You know, and I think you do...
Nice.
You do get, I think if you own it and you do admit to being human and all those things, I think, you're kind of well off. But I mean, fuck ups would probably be not listening to my gut early enough. Probably more my fuck ups are personal ones than professional ones generally. Professional ones, I usually look at it like a great stepping stone. I'll be like, yes, I've learned that skill set now. Like, oh, I can do that now. Or because I went through that fuck up, like I know how to do the back end of something. Like as far as like, I don't know, like I smashed a car that I was doing cardio with, and I owned it, and straight away I was like, I took photos, sent it straight to the company I was working with. I was like, I fucked up, I'm really sorry. And they're like, don't worry, you paid the excess, it's sorted, and thank you for telling us. Like just weird, like career stuff I don't get too caught up in. The personal fuck ups I still have to like learn a lot from, I'd say. But like they're more just like dating a douchebag, really. Like they're not all, and that's one thing I think in this industry that's hard is like people like think I'll date the Instagram Lola, not the like, or Lola can do something for my career. The amount of times I've been on dates and they're like, date 2, hey babe, can you promote my business? And you're like, how does get fucked sound? So there's a bit like, there's a lot of that, and that's where I've probably found that's been more the fails I've been down. I've thought I've dated this really nice person, neck minute, they're like, can you, like, this is not a word of a lie, I might be oversharing here. I was hanging out with this guy and he goes, can I have a threesome with you and Sophie Monk? Because he knew I was friends with Sophie Monk. And I was like, pardon? And I go, fucking get in the queue, mate. See you later. Bye. And I was just, but there's a lot of that. That is literally like the dating game for me. So probably more the personal stuff is more my failures, I'd say. But I kind of like that too, because it makes, I'm a bit savvier now and a bit more like, see ya. Like I can call it. But I've had situations where I've had this amazing like date with someone, and I'll be sitting having like a meal with them, and they'll start like looking over my shoulder. This is true story. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm just checking for paparazzi. And I'm like, pardon? And he's like, oh, girls often call paparazzi on me. I'm like, what world is this? Like, who do you think I am? So there's a lot of that's probably I'd probably call
just
that more.
A lot of wankers out there, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, a lot of dingoes,
You, Lola, are the embodiment of a growth mindset. Carol Dweck, a Stanford psychologist, this whole idea of, failure is a stepping stone, and you're just the perfect embodiment of it. I think, what I would remind our listeners, if you kind of go back from Lola's journey, the first thing that kind of really stood out to me is to not get stuck in a rut. Like, I love this DJing thing, but it wasn't for me. I then took a leap into studying this kind of nutritional medicine. I knew that one. And so many of us would go, I'm stuck in DJing, then I'm either nutritional medicine. And then each of these you've grown from as well, which I find that really inspiring. Along the way, the fact that you've acknowledged so many failures and learnt from them as well. And then the third thing that really stood out for me that I feel like I've learned today, which I'm grateful for, is this idea that along with this just comes a shitload of hard work.
Yeah.
Like you sat in front of a camera and practiced. And so to our audience, who we're encouraging them to make videos, I'm not good at it, I don't want to do it, I'm like, how you get good at it, you've just learned today, like Lola has taught us, be yourself, practice, be okay with failure, be prepared to change and grow, and then constantly expand. Don't be satisfied with where you are. Perhaps we could all be a little bit better at being okay, take a moment, pat on the back and move forward there too. So,
well summarised.
Yeah, on behalf of Tony and I, we adore you even more than we did beforehand. And it's been so fun to just share a little bit of this as well, to get to know you a little bit better there as well. So I'm excited to see what continues to come next.
You're getting me excited.
Yeah.
Can I share one last tidbit?
Yeah, you can. Yes.
I recently saw the co-founder of Netflix speak, Mark Randolph, and his take home was have a tolerance for risk.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which is cool. And he was like, and don't have one idea, have hundreds, have thousands, and be okay with failing, and have the confidence that you're going to fix the problem.
Yeah.
Like, have the confidence that if this idea doesn't work, if this one fails, I'm going to come up with the right one eventually. Like, have the confidence in yourself. It was really cool.
Yeah, sweet. What a great way to finish.
Thank you so much, Lola. I would encourage anyone who's in the vicinity, jump on down to Happy Place, grab yourself a smoothie. I've got the green, it's called the Happy Place, isn't it?
Yes, thank
It's
you.
the green smoothie. This one's called the Black Detox.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Correct.
Oh, geez, I've got it going on.
I get in trouble because when I go into an order from, I ask for a black D, and the staff are just like, Lola, you can't say that out loud. And I'm like, sorry. But yeah, black detox.
The Black Detox. Get on to the Yoga Body. Look, there's, as Lola said, there's 10 books out there. Grab a copy for yourself. Lola, thank you so much.
Oh, it's an honour. Thank you.
Loved it.